the idea of a queer platonic relationship. Now, I saw like a YouTube video on it somehow. It was suggested in my like thing, and then I tried to do a little research on it, and it was I didn't find too much. So what I did find, for those of you who don't know what it is or not familiar with it, is I'm gonna like sum it up really quick, if I can here. So a QPR, for short, I guess, is a more intense and intimate relationship compared to what is considered a common or normal friendship. But it doesn't fit the traditional sexual couple model. It's characterized by a strong bond, love, and emotional commitment, yet it is not perceived by those involved as romantic. The relationship may or may not have some degree of sexuality at various times or none. It doesn't matter, because sexual exclusivity is not what defines the relationship, but the intensity and significance of the emotional connection. The people involved, I think this is very important, because when I first saw the video, I know it was called, I don't even know what it was about, but when I first saw Queer Platonic, the first thing I thought was like, all right, here we go, another label, another box kind of thing. But the people involved don't necessarily have to identify as queer. It's a type of relationship experienced by and available to anybody regardless of their sexual orientation. People involved may consider themselves any term that implies that this specific relationship is meaningful, committed, and intimate. In some situations, they can show physical affection, such as kissing, hand-holding, and cuddling, but it's like not a requirement. So it's funny that I come across this, because I have finally found this definition of a past relationship I had. Now, if you go into my memoir and you start at chapter 3 through, to be completely honest, a long time, I had a relationship with somebody who, in the book, the character's name is Taylor, and we just had this insane relationship, and we could not explain it to anyone else. We could not explain it to each other or ourselves. All we knew is there was something different about us. And when I learned what a QPR was, like last week, I was like, oh my God. Now, what? So for 10 years, I've had this special relationship with somebody, and the most her and I could get out of it was that we are different. We don't have to explain it to anybody else. Nobody needs to know how we are. Like, there's just something special about you. There's something special about me. Like, it is what it is. As far as the physicality of Taylor and my relationship, we kissed, we've cuddled, we've spooned, held hands. We had a very intimate relationship. We never slept, we never had sex. That is definitely something we did not do. Mainly because I said no 3 times. We had a very intimate bond that I did not have with people that I was friends with, or with people I actually dated sometimes. Her relationship with me was so intense and so meaningful, and like, this girl meant the world to me. And you couldn't articulate it. There was no like label to put on this relationship. So we used to call each other like soulmates, okay? Or it was like best friends on roids. It was hard to explain, but at the same point, I mean, we had this physical like connection. We definitely had a spiritual and emotional connection. And then to top it all off, to make matters worse, we did a lot of things that friends don't do. Aside from the physical, like kissing and hand holding or whatever, like we slow danced, we talked about what it'd be like to date, we talked about what it'd be like to get married, it's just things that you don't normally talk about with a friend. So here is like the one incident in my life where I wish I had this label. I wish I had the label of QPR, because I think since her and I did not have that label, we were stuck in this void, this boundaryless void where anything was possible, and it caused a lot of problems. Not being able to define a relationship, and I started to feel jealous when she was picking her boyfriend over me in some instances, or I would feel a type of way between different boyfriends, and because she would always come back to me, she would always come back to my bed. Now, there's a whole other thing about Taylor being a shitty person, okay? Now, if you want to actually see the progression of this QPR in my life to what I think it is, like, go to Wedgaholics.com and start at chapter 3, and you could see our relationship develop. So having this queer platonic relationship and not knowing what it was, for me, I started to catch feelings, and at the same point, if I would have known that there was like this thing that existed, I would have almost, I guess I would have learned to like curb my jealousy maybe, or accepted it, or I don't know. And I think she would have appreciated like the boundaries that our relationship had if we were to be QPR. And we didn't have that label, and I think it ultimately led into a lot of problems where, I feel like we're one thing, she feels like we're another thing. When we did feel we were the same, it was like the wrong timing, and a lot of people, including myself and people that I dated, got hurt because of this relationship I had that didn't have any boundaries, didn't have any limits, and hearts were broken, and it sucked. And I think it really led to our demise as, I'm not going to say a couple because we weren't as friends, but we were more. There's just things that just imploded almost. Things we ended up not being able to talk about. And it's just unfortunate that now, 10 years later, and I just ended my friendship with Taylor about a month or so ago, because of reasons that you can go read about. Actually, yeah, I don't know if you can read about it yet, but it's if I didn't end my friendship, I don't even feel comfortable calling her a friend. I really don't. See, that's a problem. That's problem number one. Point of the story is, I was in a QPR, I didn't even know, and I wish I did. And as much fun as society makes labels and we don't like it, sometimes labels are necessary, Yeah, you can fall in love with the person or whatever it may be, but for the most part, if you go up to a girl and you're like, yo, it's good, and she's straight, she's straight, you do get the rarity where the girl is questioning, or she actually does fall for you, or if you're on some Ruby Rose shit or whatever. But for the most part, when somebody tells you that they're either I am gay or I am straight, that is a label to let you know real quick, how it's gonna be. Yeah, there's exceptions to the rule and everything, but facts are facts. Society puts labels on people, and that's just how it is. In this case, I wish that I had this label with Taylor, because I think we would have had a happier relationship and a happier friendship. And I think a lot of things would have made more sense. And it's funny because if you Google it a little bit more, it's so weird. It's really kind of new and weird to me, but it makes such sense, complete sense. But I guess within the QPR realm, they call each other zucchini, as in, you are my zucchini. Now, I think the reasoning was at first to joke about it, but then it kind of turned into this thing to label your relationship that didn't define a typical relationship or friendship. And it's funny because me and Taylor called each other I don't want to say it because I don't want to give shit away, but we had an animal. She was my fish, that's my fish, and I'm just gonna say, at least a fish is an animal and a zucchini is what the fuck's a zucchini? It's not even I guess it could be a fun vegetable. Yeah. But point of my story is, because now this is super fucking long, is that had I known the label QPR, I'm totally 100% sure that Taylor would have been on board with calling us that. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we had fucking rings. I'm not talking best friend rings. I'm now also not talking relationship rings. Do you see the problem right there? Go read my book, Wedgaholics.com, and watch the progression of this QPR, and let me know if you think Taylor's just a shitty person, or we just are I don't know. I don't even fucking know. But that's all I gotta say. queer platonic relationships. They're a thing. Whether you know it or not, but they're totally a thing. And that's all I gotta say. We're done.